If you're looking to start investing, but you're held back by fear, anxiety, you feel like you're losing your money if you put it in the stock market, in this video, I want to go over those challenges, which I personally used to have when I was much younger. One of the reasons why I didn't start investing early on in my life, when I was even in my teens, early 20s, it's because number one, I had no money. Even when I did have the money, once I became an engineer, and once I started building my wealth little by little, I started thinking that I was fearful. And that fear of investing and taking that first step was actually what held me back for years. So my goal in this video is to go through a couple of challenges and signs of readiness that will let you know whether or not you are ready to start investing or at least dipping your toes in the stock market. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know if you want more investing videos and helping you going from a skeptical, fearful, and overall stressed about putting your money in the stock market to confident investor, to confident wealth builder. I don't want you to be in a position where you are 40, 50, 60 years old, and then you're looking back in your life and saying, man, I wish I would have started investing sooner. And this is key right here because that's exactly how I feel right now that I'm 35 years old. Now I'm thinking, man, I wish I would have started learning about this sooner and investing sooner, even if it would have been $5, $10 in the beginning. It's all about just overcoming the fear and just taking those first steps, building that investing muscle, the habit of just investing and putting your money to build your wealth, your hard-earned money. Okay, so with this being said, now that I'm wiser and now that I'm more educated on personal finance and I made a lot of mistakes and I've also had some successes, I want to share with you things I wish I would have known to help you realize whether or not you are ready to start building your wealth in the stock market. So now the first sign of readiness when it comes to becoming a confident investor and overcoming the fear of taking the first step as a beginner investor is having a financial plan. If you already have the basics of personal finance and you understand your income, you understand your expenses, you understand your goals before you start investing, that right there is a good sign that now you may be able to take the next step. You know where your money is going, where it's coming from. Now, one of the mistakes that I made when I was much younger was that I started putting my money in random investments. I started lending money to people and I had no idea what I was doing, right? I was in debt. It's important to know, to have a really basic and solid structure, at least understanding of your financial situation before you start putting your money in the stock market, because you need to know where your money is going. And the second sign that you're ready to start investing in the stock market, in my personal opinion, is you have an emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund is essentially a safety net that you have in order to overcome unexpected situations. For example, if you have a bill on taxes, like for example, recently my wife and I, we had to pay taxes. Like we ended up paying taxes. That's the bottom line. And so we had to dip a little bit into our emergency fund savings because we weren't expecting that bill. And so we just had to okay, well, it is what it is, right? So that is going to help you overcome the fear of unexpected expenses. That way you don't have to get into debt. That way you don't have to sell your investments, because if you sell your investment, then especially if you profit, then you are going to have to pay capital gain taxes. So just here letting you know that you need to have an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of living expenses is a good option. Personally, I don't go any lower than 6 months. That's just my personal risk tolerant. And if you are somebody that wants to go with 3 months emergency fund, that's really up to you. But in my personal liking, 6 months is good enough. That gives you enough time to get back on your feet in case something happens or you have an unexpected bill. Now, the third sign that you are ready to start investing in the stock market is you have no debt whatsoever. And I really mean this because this right here reduces your risk of financial strain from payment to debtors, to credit cards, to student loans. And a mortgage, we're not talking about a mortgage, that's separate. But if you're somebody who has hundreds of thousands of dollars in the student loans, which we did at one point with my wife, or if you're somebody that has a lot of credit card debt, our max debt, like for me in the past was about $30,000, So if you have that much debt, then it's really not going to make much sense, either mathematically or emotionally, to start putting your money in the stock market, because then you are going to be in the negative. You're going to be in the negative. Like, you're going to be paying 20, 30% interest on your debt when you're going to be probably going to be making 7 to 10% on the stock market and growing your wealth. So it's all about priorities and going in a step-by-step process to build the wealth with confidence and clarity. So pay down high interest debt before investing, pay it all off, and before you start getting into more advanced steps like investing. Now, the fourth sign that you are ready to start investing is you're now started to dip your toes into researching the investing basics, right? Because once you know the risk that you have when you start investing, it's going to help you understand that costly mistakes can happen due to lack of knowledge. So if you are somebody that you don't know what crypto is, you don't know what stock is, you don't know what index funds are, you don't know what you're doing. Like this used to be me, right? I would just put my money in random things, and then hopefully I was like, oh, I'm going to get rich. And it was completely mistaken. So I just want to make you aware that before you make the first step and then you invest your first $10 or $100, then just understand what the terms are, understand the symbols, understand the basic stock market terms, so that way you know exactly what you're getting into. So educate yourself before you do that. Now, one really cool book that I have identified that is really useful and actionable is this one right here, Investing in Your 20s and 30s. It goes over understanding stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, index funds, and all the good stuff, maximizing your 401k. Also, set unrealistic goals, recognizing the risks and rewards of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies is not really something that I'm a fan of, but at the end of the day, minimizing your risk as an investor and become confident and overcome that fear. The fifth sign you are ready to start investing is that now you're starting to set investment goals. Like, what is it that you're investing towards? Are you investing in your retirement? Are you investing in your wealth building long term, like aside from your retirement? Once you have clear investment goals, that's really going to keep you focused, and it's going to help you choose your appropriate investment vehicle. So my personal favorite investment vehicles is index funds, which is essentially you are betting on the stock market. So for example, imagine that you are at a racetrack for horses, right? Like the Kentucky Derby, for instance, right? Like imagine that. So one way that you can start investing in the stocks, imagine each horse is a stock. You have a horse Apple, horse Alphabet, horse, what's another? Verizon, Costco. So all those different are companies that are like horses in a racetrack. But the way I like to invest, I don't like to invest in a horse. Yes, there is more risk with going into a horse, but when it comes to my personal risk tolerance, I like to be long-term wealth building. And so I like to invest in the whole racetrack, right? Like, so if the horses do well, the racetrack does well. And so that's the way I like to see when it comes to index funds. When it comes to the S&P 500, that's my personal favorite. And the S&P 500 is essentially an index fund where you are essentially investing in the top 500 companies of the United States. And these 500 companies are not static. They're always going up and down according to certain parameters and revenues and profits. For now, in order to make the first step and start getting into the habit of building wealth and investing, you don't need to know about those things. You learn that along the way. Okay. All right. So now the last sign that you're ready to start investing is that you're prepared for the long term. Now, what does this mean exactly? So investing is most effective with a long-term horizon. Like typically what one of my friends, she's a financial advisor, and she told me that when you start investing, it's good to look at your investments in a 5-year horizon, at least, right? So if you're able, or if you're willing to put your money in this stock market for at least 5-year term, then it's a good sign that you are ready to start investing. And the reason for this is because 5 years is if something happens to the market right now, then it takes about 4 to 5 years for the market to recover. So 5 years gives your money enough time if it loses value, because we all know that the market's up and downs. It just happens. We all see that in the news every single day. There's people that are worried about the daily stock trading, like what's happening in the market. And a lot of people stress about it. But personally, the way I like to set it, or I like to see it, is I don't stress about that because I am long term, right? Like I'm worried about it in like 20, 30 years once I retire, or once I'm looking to cash in and take my money out so that I can live off of it, right? Let me know in the comments what kind of questions you have that can help you overcome your challenges and start building wealth as a first generation immigrant or first generation wealth builder. And you're literally changing your family tree, right? Once you start gaining all this knowledge, you realize that your future and your family's future is going to be so different from the way you grew up. And if you are like me, if you are someone who grew up in a low income, who grew up with a lot of financial challenges and hardship, now it's the time to start taking action to build the wealthy future, not just financially, but also emotionally, mentally for our families. So if you are interested in learning more about this, please let me know in the comments, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend. And don't forget to buy any of these books right here. I recommend this one. This is the easiest one, most digestible. But there's also like great ones right here, like the Random Walk Down Wall Street, and then this one, Common Sense Investing. These are like more like history, like a lot of, but this is like the most actionable, right to the core of investing. Okay, so with that being said, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.